Hello to all of you beautiful nerds and welcome back from Traveling the Vast Nerd Universe. I am back with a new storytime video for you all. And I feel like telling the story about why we had to move from one part of the city to back here where we used to live. If you remembered, we've lived in West Daytona Beach since 2018, and we did move to South, but now we moved back to West, all because of hurricane season last year. Excuse me, sorry. And yeah, and that was part of the craziness. Like I said in the last video, the products that I will be using in this video are products that have been purchased either in the present or the past. Really, they're doing the lawn. But anyways, don't worry, nothing's been sponsored for this video because I've been noticing not that many people don't like unclaimed sponsorships. So don't come after me, FTC. Everything's been purchased. No ads. Anyways. And also I'm trying out the LED light on my tripod for this video. So that's why there's a light in front of me. Besides the lights up here. I think I kind of looked a little dark in the last video. So let's see how well it works. So let me get started on this video. Of course, I'm grabbing one of my tried and true eyebrow products, as you all know. I love the NYX Tame and Frame pomade for many years by this point. But anyways, so yep. So this tale is a bit of a few events that took place. As like I said, we lived in West Daytona Beach. I moved out here because of work-related things. Since I had a hard time looking for work in Orlando, and I decided on changing my career goal to be in assistive technology because technology has been evolving, especially for people with disabilities, and that's really got my interest the most. That's why I am going for my master's, because I kind of feel like in order to advance and try to get more jobs, especially if I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing, I need to meet with having a master's, and this is one thing I was hoping to get for a long time. So during 2020, well, let me start back. So 2019, I went through my first hurricane without my parents, and that was Hurricane Dorian. We were fine because we were not in any flood zones. The beach had to be evacuated because of Dorian hitting beachside first. And we only had a little small fizzle out. I even called the leasing office about any possible flooding. They said no, we haven't had any flooding because we're more inland. And I believe that. Being more inland on the coast is a lot better than being on the coast itself. Because even my mom asked me, are you going to be moving to the beach, living on the beach? I'm like, no, it's expensive and most hurricanes hit the beach first. Most. because of course, here along the coast, it gets hit pretty badly. I mean, for instance, when I was a student at really a lot of people, a lot, the big three hurricanes back in 2004, I left before Charlie even hit, and this was days after my birthday that year. I was lucky to leave. Sorry, when Charlie hit, and Francis came through. That stayed over Florida for days, and we went through major cabin fever. And Gene was okay. Like, it didn't really affect us much. So when I got the job, I knew I would probably go through a storm or two, and I went through Dorian in 2019. I was fine. Nothing happened. We did do nothing but cook food like crazy, in just in case the power did go out. And this was also when RJ moved into around that time. So we were fine with Dorian. So 2020 rolls around, and that's when I got injured. If you always notice this scar on my face, I got hit in the face by a garbage compactor door. And I did have to stay in the hospital for a bit. That was not fun. Especially how they made me sound like I was pre-diabetic. It was like, congratulations, you're pre-diabetic now. Great. I was trying to keep myself out of that. To be fair, with the pandemic around that, being in full force around that time, it was hard on people because you're not going out, you're not exercising, blah blah blah. And I was a little bit on the overweight side too, I admit, because when I moved out, I was glad to at least eat, because I felt like my weight control was okay when I was living at home, but I was always eating almost every single time when I moved out here. And it didn't help with the pandemic either, because I also gained more weight. But now I lost a lot of weight since I was able to be out more. But back to 2020. And then after I got out of the hospital, that's when we had our utility closet flood. And that's when we were like, okay, we're done. We're out. We're out of here. And we were hoping to find a place before November of that year. And we found this really nice apartment complex in South Daytona that wasn't that much in rent for a 1-bedroom, because some places were costing a lot for 1-bedrooms by that time. And even the dream place that we wanted to move into was going to be a little bit on the pricier side. But the one place that we were looking into was going to charge a lot for such little space even. And they were calling me like, have you made a decision? Do you want to move into our property? Seriously, iPad, stop. Sorry, I'm looking for... for my eyeshadow palette. I know I have it here somewhere. But sorry guys. I know I had something here. That's my braille's light. Oh, found it. I love my bed. But anyways, back to the story. They kept on calling me and asking if we wanted to move into the place. And I'm like, I don't think so, because we already have a place in mind. And we did, because we found this place that was in South Daytona, heading towards the beach area, and it was nice. It was 100 square feet, slightly bigger than the apartment that we lived in, one of the other buildings here, and it was nice. It was quiet. It looked like nothing was wrong. I mean, I asked the right kind of questions, like, for instance, oh, that was me and put this all over in my brow lips. I'm using the old school Naked palette. I asked the right questions, like, how do you guys handle wasp nests, because we had issues with that. How you handle things like your toilet flooding, because we had to handle that ourselves, and that happened on the weekend of my birthday. And other things, including one question that I brought up, since it was gonna be in a place near like a river type thing, and asked because there were Riverview apartments, but those cost like 100 more, and they almost gave us one of those. But of course I can't see the view, and I asked her, what about flooding? Apparently they built a flood wall back in 2017 after Matthew came through. Not 2017, 2016. 2017 was Irma, but that will come later in the story. So we decided to move in November, and we did move in. We had a nice 1-bedroom, and I liked it because it was like a square formation with all the different apartments. People helped me find the mailbox like the first week we were there, and I did like the landlord at the time, because she answered our questions pretty well. But what we didn't know, there were other issues, such as bug issues, even though they did do pest control every quarterly. And well, things decided to turn a little bit south a bit, because when we were renewing the lease, we had a bit of a ceiling leak around our bay window, and Also, our neighbor upstairs faced the same kind of leak near their bay window because the people that did the job on the roof with the shingles kind of caused some issues where I guess the job wasn't done properly, and all thanks to the wall hanging, which some of the buildings had like a wall hanging decorating the building, which I wish they didn't have, and it caused the bay window to leak. And it not only was around the bay window, but I also heard some slight popping in the border between our dining alcove and our living room. And apparently the popcorn lost its grip and it caused a bit of a small collapse. And I called as we noticed the leak first happened around the bay window. And it took them like 3 or 4 days to finally come out after the part of the ceiling collapsed to take pictures. And apparently we ended up with a new landlord, which I didn't know. And the interesting part, I was part of their email newsletter. And it didn't say anything about that our landlord also switched. And she came, took pictures, and that was when we were also updating our lease for another year. But what we were not expecting with that little leak, that little hole, that more things were taking place. Like, for instance, one terrible part of living in an apartment complex, even in a house itself, are cockroaches. Little creepy crawlies that know how to survive an atomic bomb. And since there was a time, apparently, we didn't have pest control at some point, and some of them started popping up, and all thanks to the ceiling leak, with that small collapse, it caused more to apparently show. And I didn't know until RJ mentioned, yeah, they kept on showing up. I tried taking care of it, and it was becoming a complete nuisance. Even my dad tried using roach spray, but apparently it turned out to be lure spray that RJ bought to help kill the few that we had. And this caused a huge appearance, and we were trying to kill most of them as time went on. It got bad because they kept on coming out. They ate our pizza a couple of times. They even ate a bowl of cereal that I had a few remnants of. It was bad. And we kind of found out where they were coming from when we transferred, because at the time we were having Toby move in. Long story short, after like a year and a half after Rain passed away due to their surgery, yeah, long story short, surgery went bad, caused health complications. The in-laws were like, yeah, you mourned long enough. It's time for you to go. So, had nowhere else to go, and so we let him move in with us. Since it's already hard enough with you know, living on your own, even though he did have a job for a bit while still living out there. He's been living with us close to 2 years already. It's not easy finding a job here in Daytona now. But anyways, so we transferred to a 2-bedroom. The 2-bedroom was really, really nice. It was 100 square feet bigger than where we're living now. Yes, it was nice and bigger, but what we weren't expecting was the landlord decided to say it was our fault that we brought the cockroaches in when he went to have us come by to talk to us. And I'm like, I was thinking not true, because when we lived here in West Daytona, they had monthly monthly pest control coming out, and we didn't bring any. The issue was, besides the all of them coming in from due to that lower spray, but also our neighbors across the way had Hello Fresh boxes out there during the 2 weeks that we were moving out to move into the new space. And I was like how could we bring these in if we had such great pest control? And we were right about that too, because we ended up finding a teeny tiny spot where it looks open that, and a teeny tiny spot in one of the parts of the apartment closer to one of the upper cabinets where a roach was waiting to crawl. I'm putting a black eyeliner because I figured it would be easier than just finding something to fit the shadows I was using. And how the flood came in kind of proved the point on the same way that the roaches were coming in, which I will mention a little bit later. So they have to inspect, so they're like, we have to inspect your apartment every so often. Also, we had to, they fumigated our apartment after we moved in, which a lot good that did. Because quarterly sprayings didn't work as much. Heck, even putting bait didn't even work as much. And so now, fast forwarding to Hurricane Ian. Last year's hurricane season was pretty active, even though they say it's going to be more active every year. But there are times when not all seasons are as active, especially this year when we're having El Nino happening. And of course, we're having so much crazy weather happening, like huge hailstorms out in Colorado, major drought going on, Even now, the Northeast is facing flooding, and we only had 2 tropical storms. 2. And yet, our sea levels are high. Not sea levels. Sea temperatures are extremely high. Even here around Florida, they're peaking closer to 100 degrees. And, oh, I forgot to curl my lashes. And it's getting hotter and hotter. I mean, in Texas, where they had the NFB National Convention, they cranked up the AC in the ballrooms over there. And it's like, wow. It's a major scorcher. And I thought Florida got hot. I become really relieved when I hit the AC. Since, you know, I got dressed professionally for work. But anyways, so Hurricane Ian, we had to basically evacuate. We had to send people home, and this was basically a direct hit on us. And we were lucky though with our apartment. It's where we only had no internet, so we were just playing games. RJ was playing on his Switch. This was way before I got my own Switch. I was playing on my 3DS. I brought it back out. Yes, I still have a 3DS. And we were like doing stuff. Even though I also did some homework because I was also still in school. I was in my 3rd semester. I was lucky to pass too, despite what had happened during Hurricane Nicole. So like I said, we were lucky during Hurricane Ian. And the interesting part, our apartment complex put up notices saying, if you're going to evacuate, you got to do these things. Like, gave us what we had to do in an event of evacuating from the area. We didn't evacuate because we didn't feel like we didn't need to, but Hurricane Nicole was the more surprising one because it was November. November is usually very quiet because that's when hurricane season tends to end, at the end of November. And when I came to work, one of my coworkers asked me, so we have to evacuate again? I'm like, what are you talking about? Another hurricane is coming. I'm like, wait, what? And we were supposed to go to Ranger Stop during that month, well, during that week that Nicole was about to hit. And I was also supposed to go for a doctor's appointment the day before we left for the hotel. We booked the room at the DoubleTree from that Thursday, the 10th, through that Monday, because we figured, why not drive in that Thursday, enjoy Orlando, because we haven't been back there since like 2020. No, not 2020, since 2019 for a convention. Because we went to Ranger Stop Atlanta, which you can still watch our videos from that here on the channel. We were lucky enough to get those press passes and got to travel. And I cleared my head after leaving UMass Boston. As you remember from my publishing scam video. If you haven't seen that, I would suggest to do so. And of course, enjoy Orlando for a bit because we wanted to go to Disney Springs because we haven't been back there since we saw Newfound Glory back in 2021. We only went to the House of Blues and left that night when we saw them perform. So we went to see what changed, and I did hear things were added. Thank you, DFB Food Guide. DFB Guide, aka Disney Food Blog Guide. Talking about Gideon's. I definitely want to go there when we go this year. Because, yeah, we're planning on making it up for last year. Oh. This is the Illumina Skincare. Looking for my face primer. There you are. The high, what is it? So, back to the story. So we were supposed to leave Thursday for Orlando because we checked in. We had to check in the afternoon at the DoubleTree near SeaWorld, which is where it's also going to be again this year. Okay, I'm out of this one. Yay! I emptied out another face primer. Yay. It's the hydrating one from Smashbox. Even though I find it surprising they're not doing so well. Well, they need to release some stuff. New stuff. Refresh yourselves, Smashbox. So, back to what I was saying. Oh, crap. So, we were supposed to leave Thursday. And we woke. And that's when people were asking me, aren't you leaving Wednesday? We're like, no, we're leaving Thursday because that's when the storm was supposed to dissipate, which it did. It dissipated Thursday morning. But what we were not expecting was what went on that morning. So we were like, we're leaving Thursday because our reservation doesn't start until Thursday. If we were in Orlando one day before, we may have to have stayed at La Quinta one day early. Because at least that would be like around $50 now, or so. But our reservation didn't really start till that Thursday. And so at least we got to see what had happened. Crap. What happened to my concealer? Because I know I have the Fenty concealer that I was using somewhere. Oh, no, that's one of my Purely's blushes. Oh, found it. Found my Fenty. So Thursday we woke up and we decided to do some last minute packing. I was gonna go and make some coffee before we hit the road. RJ was gonna pack his suitcase because I got some new suitcases from Walmart because we ended up losing our suitcases at the old apartment because cockroaches infested them. So I'm like, okay, we better get, so I got new ones. And as I was going to, because in that apartment, there's like a hallway next to the kitchen where there's a teeny tiny island area. And I was about to go around to the entrance right over there. And I stepped into something wet. And I asked, "Hun, why is there water here?" I still remember these words to this day. And RJ comes out and sees what's going on. And he sees water coming through the front door. And then he runs to the back patio door, sees water coming through there. And he knew we were in big trouble. We were in major super trouble. And not only that, it was coming through the walls in our bedroom. And he ran to Toby's room, which the bedrooms were right across from each other in this small hallway, where I also had my makeup drawer tower right in that hallway too. He went straight to Toby's room, told him, "Dude, wake up," because he was about to go to sleep. "We're flooding." And also the water was coming into his room. And we were lucky that we were there for him too, because apparently one of the connectors for his video setup, because he does Twitch streaming on the side, one of the connectors ended up, I'm using the Dewey photo focus from Wet Wild in Buff Bisque. Apparently it was sparking. And if we weren't there that morning, if we did go to Orlando the night before, he would have been dead and we would have lost our home and all of our stuff. But we were lucky to be there, and we acted quick to get anything that was our power strips off the floor, out of the way. I even lost a few plugs, like for instance, on the mirror for this vanity, I got vanity lights because I was hoping to start recording again, because my vanity was near some outlets. Unfortunately, due to all the craziness and everything, I didn't do a recording at all since. I kind of wasted those the vanity lights. I may have to remove them. And I lost the plug in the flood as well. So we lost some stuff. I lost like a Victoria stream, all thanks to it, because I forgot I was recharging it on the floor. I also lost my Orbit Reader 40, which I did not care too much about. I know the Orbit 20 Plus, I heard good things about it, but I am not buying another brown display from Orbit Research. I'm sorry. I know they're very affordable and everything, but I'm sorry. In the day and age of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, you need to have a braille display with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth together. That's my opinion. I at least use my Chameleon to connect everything. And this was after also when I got it fixed again, because the motherboard fried. But anyways, so we did lose some stuff. And it was like chaos when all this was going on. And we had to cancel our weekend, all thanks to this. And I was upset. RJ was completely upset. But we did manage to go for one day at least to Ranger Stop to get away from the terrible event that we went through. And I want to thank to the guys who played Wild Force Black Ranger and Wild Force Blue Ranger, because it was the anniversary for Wild Force. Thanks for the advice about flooding. I appreciated that. I'm sorry if I don't add the names off the top of my head, because that weekend really frazzled us. And I was like, even though I was happy to meet up with the cast from Wild Force, minus the Red Ranger, because we already know what happened to him because he was in jail before, but he did get out though, from what I've heard. But anyways, I want to thank whoever gave us advice from any of the cast from Power Rangers when it came to flooding, because we went through something terrible. Even Kevin Nash was supposed to be, was it Kevin Nash? Was that his name? I forget. I know he was in wrestling. He played Shredder for one of the Ninja Turtles movies. He had to cancel because he was living around the Volusia County area too. He canceled because of what was taking place. And an interesting thing though, since Nicole hit Orlando and slightly Daytona Beach, because Nicole was not supposed to have a direct hit. It directly hit Orlando, and most of the guests had to either land in Jacksonville or Tampa, and had to take Ubers all the way to Orlando in order to make the convention. Tracy Lynn Cruz, who played Ashley on Power Rangers in Space, almost canceled because Uber drivers did not want to drive to Orlando. The first two canceled on her. Last one was able to pick her up because he drove in conditions like that because he was a truck driver. And we were happy that she was able to make it. Even her handler recognized me because I was at Ranger Stop 2018. First time doing press. And we were happy to get the autographs and getting to meet a lot of the Ranger actors. Got to catch up with Christopher Kamen Lee because I was a fan of his Twitch channel. Unfortunately, I didn't go back to the Twitch channel as much because I was busy, and I was also going through my mom's mourning over my mom at the time. I'm sorry, Christopher Kamen Lee. I'm hoping to be back and seeing your stuff again. So, yeah, we went through tough times with that. And it even got tougher after that weekend because apparently how the water got in so easily, which also was a factor towards the cockroaches coming in so easily, were that the we kind of figured it out, was that the baseboards were not properly sealed. And that's a part of how foundations on homes were not as great to need to be inspected if something's going to happen like that. And looking back at that, I could see how and why the cockroaches got in so easily, because when when the guys were cleaning up, dead cockroaches were on the floor, even in the water, when we still had water. And I could and looking back at the old apartment that we lived in, now I could kind of see why we had such as a big infestation that we did. And when I called it into the leasing office, I told them, yeah, this was happening. Oh, that's another thing too. I tried calling maintenance to see if they had a shop vac, and they were not a big help either. They were like, oh, we can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. Only thing they did after the flood was bring us a dehumidifier, because we needed that, because that was a tip that Wild Force Blue gave us, because I'm asthmatic, don't you know? And with something like that happening, that's terrible on my health. And it took a few days for them to give us one, because a lot of people were needing dehumidifiers, because all the first floor apartments got flooded, not just ours. And they knew about the baseboards not being very well sealed, even though they were trying to look at our baseboards. But they said we had so much stuff they couldn't look at them. Why can't you just look at the ones that are not covered? Because that's our question about that. So apparently we had to find a new place after the issue with the flooding. And I was in tears. I was going through all the motions. I felt sick in my stomach. It was about to be Thanksgiving. Well, it's getting closer to Thanksgiving. And I was not feeling well. I was in tears. My supervisor, she was a rock. And she was hoping that I could find something. And she said, I'll try and find help for you guys, because what we were going through should not have happened. And I agree. And to tell you the truth, I do not recommend this place, any part of South Daytona at this point, even though I do have some people that I know that from work living around there. But I would say keep yourself safe during any flooding, but I do not recommend the apartment complex that we lived in, which is Sail Point Bay. I don't recommend it to anybody after what taken place. Even after the flooding, one of my neighbors, the neighbor across the hallway, asked how we fared through the flood, and I told her it came through the walls, and she said, yeah, it happened to me too, but I also had a ceiling leak on top of it. And I'm like, whoa. And I even tried, with the relocating, I even tried asking the leasing office, why not the apartment that had people move out? And they said, sorry, that was already taken. I'm like, really? Because they were trying to relocate people, and it was the first come, first serve. And unfortunately, they couldn't find anything for us, except told us to go to one of the other sister properties. And I was lucky to still keep the phone number for the property that we're back in now, because after we moved out, I kept the phone number just in case, and I was lucky enough to do that. And I called them up told them what had happened to us, I was in tears too. I was trying to fight them back so bad. But the stress of it all crashed on me, and I felt like I couldn't find anywhere. And I was like, what do I do? What place would take us so close to Thanksgiving? It was a mess, and I was in complete tears for that entire week. And I even felt my stomach not liking me because of all the stress that I went through. Even RJ was feeling stressful, even Toby was too. We were feeling it until this place did tell us they were able to help us. They did find a place. They found a 2-bedroom, even though it was $4 more. Yeah, $4 more than what we were paying before, but at least we are in a better place, because the only thing that they went through with Ian and Nicole was just small window leaks. And I think, even though I think we got it recently fixed, but our weather seal had to be fixed at our door because we were getting cockroaches, but that was due to the weather seal had a big chunk missing. But hoping we did get that fixed recently. And to tell you the truth, being back where we are, where we have been before, it was a big sigh of relief. And apparently one of the people that works here told us what had happened during Irma, where cars actually floated. And I'm like, what? And I asked them about flooding before we moved in, and somehow something was not mentioned. Apparently cars were floating. Even our neighbor upstairs told us about that too, because she saw the flood going on outside, and she was talking to us. What was even bad was that RJ's car also got flooded in, and his car sounded bad for a few months until it died. And we were able to have his mom's car so we were lucky for that, and great things so far. We were able to go to the Renaissance Fair for a day. Well, what am I doing? But we were glad to have a place to be at home again. Even though, it's 100 square feet less, but we managed. Excuse me. I had breakfast with my dad this morning. So we managed a bit with what we had for this space. And to tell you the truth, I'm glad to be back in this area, because we did have a lot of noise, but we actually got to have a home. And even with a roommate, yes, it costs more for a 2-bedroom. I mean, even 1-bedrooms are getting up there in price for a lot of my co-workers. And now we know to be careful when it comes to flooding. And so far with hurricane season this year, we were lucky so far with not getting anything come at us. I'm hoping we don't have that happen either, because with how bad sea temperatures are going, with, yeah, it's almost 100 degrees around here in Florida with the sea temps. It's even really hot in Tampa, apparently. I'm gonna feel bad for all the people going to MetroCon. I know we want to go back there, but long story short, we don't have the funds right now to go to any of the conventions, except for in November, since I'm going to be going through my final semester this fall, and we're going to be having a big trip up to Virginia at the end of this year for my graduation. And and with Ranger Stout this year, since it's going to be at the same DoubleTree, we're glad to get another same type of setup, because we want to get a king size this time around, since, you know, RJ being a bigger guy, and since we did have a king size bed during Holiday Matsuri, it was very comfortable. And so we're going with king size this time again, and having the same kind of dates: check-in Thursday, leave Monday. And I also made it up to RJ because he was not happy during that weekend, because he wanted to see panels and everything, wanted to do our usual press stuff. But this year, since his birthday is in December, I'm going to be graduating in December. I decided, since I paid off one of my cards, I need to pay off again. I decided to get us VIP tickets. I got the gold tier because at least we get to go to the dinner party. And people asked if we were going to the dinner party back in 2019. Unfortunately, our badges as press badges did not count to go to that. But of course, since we now have the VIP passes, and I'm waiting on press, because of course this channel needs some more content after what we went through. And I apologize, since Mother Nature decided to hit us head on. I apologize that we didn't have any content since last fall because of what we had to go through. And like I said before, I'm glad we got to move somewhere else, even though it was during Thanksgiving. We ate pizza for our dinner when we moved in here, because of course, you know, we didn't exactly have a turkey or anything. So yeah, that was crazy, completely crazy. And I'm hoping we don't go through that again, especially with us finally being away from that flood zone. Apparently, I heard from one of my drivers that they closed down the nursing home because in between our part, that complex, and the one next door, which was another property of the same company, there was a nursing home, and that's usually used as a nice little landmark for them to know which one I lived in. It closed down because of the flood, and I'm not sure what they did. They were supposed to redo the apartments, the first floor apartments, to be more presentable. I remembered a former neighbor over there who posted on Nextdoor like me. She couldn't afford moving to a different part with her roommate, so I wonder if she is doing okay. And even when I walked around to get the mail after the flood, it smelled terrible because people hardly picked up after their their pets. And like I said, it smelled terrible from all the brine, all the mess and everything. And like I said, it was a terrible, terrible thing we had to go through with floods. And now knowing with everybody that goes through tornadoes, floods, even wildfires over in Colorado and California, losing your home is not fun. And we went through that with losing our apartment. And with and not only that, one of the insurance companies actually left recently. It was Farmers Insurance because of risk exposure. Yeah, hurricanes are not a risk. I mean, right? Yes, I know hurricanes are a risk. Same with tornadoes, earthquakes, wildfires like the ones that took place in Canada. Those are all risks. And I could kind of see why they're like, oh, we're leaving because of all these disasters taking place. But people need insurance to try to get back on their feet. Yes, I could have planned to purchase some of the stuff back, but with all the chaos that we went through, we didn't get a chance to do anything about that. And oh, another thing too, Nicole was not categorized as a disaster either, and that was also a messed up thing. Ian was. Nicole was not. Even if a storm is not directly hitting you, you're going to still get the outer bands. From my experience with Hurricane Floyd. And Floyd, Charlie, Francis, and Jean. You'll still get the effects, even after when the eye passes by. Because you have one part of the storm, then you have the eye, then you have the other part. Because I remember from the Magic School Bus. Yes, I read the Magic School Bus until 6th grade, so go me. But anyways, so yeah, it was bad. I mean, I'm hoping we don't go through this again this year or any other years while we're still living in state, depending on where we go to next, because our goal is going up north because the heat down here is getting too extreme. Even though there is extreme heat anywhere else, but at least we want to have something cool to hit us during the winter. Yes, it does get cold here in Daytona Beach, but it's more of a mild winter that we get. At least we were very cold on Christmas. It was like 45 degrees outside, but I stayed inside. I'm not that great when it comes to cold weather, but with the AC nowadays, I'm actually happy that we have nice cold AC because we go down to 69 degrees in this apartment. So yeah. So that's about it for this story, because I could go on and on about this entire hurricane experience. I don't want to bore you all with it, and I can imagine this video going beyond how much time I spent on the other one. So I'm hoping we could get the Ranger Stop content up for you for this year, because this year is all about 30 years of Power Rangers, because like I said, I've been a Power Rangers fan since I was 7 years old, and getting to meet some of the people that made the series it is today is an amazing experience. And some of them have been in our shoes when it comes to the flooding, which I could tell. And I'm also thinking to everybody that we met at last year's convention. I mean, even when we walked out, we ran into Samurai Green when we were walking out, and he was like, "Are you gonna be sticking around?" And I'm like, "No, we went through a flood," and he hugged us. Like, he's like, "I'm so sorry you went through that." Everybody was like that. We're so sorry you went through that. Even Josh says, and he recognized us, by the way. Great guy. He was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, we went through this, so that's why we're not here the entire weekend." If you saw the pictures, I was like, no makeup, nothing. I was just wearing my Steven Universe as Doctor Strange shirt and a pair of jeggings during that day. Even when we came, since the car was still wet, I had to wear water shoes and then switch over to my red Vans for the day and switch back because it was still soaked in that car. So I also feel bad for anybody who lost their cars to this. I even talked to a neighbor who was using the shop vac in their car, and she was like, "Yeah, it got pretty bad." So like I said, I'm hoping we're not going to go through this again. I'm glad we moved out when we did. Like I said, the stress of everything really got to us, and we were feeling it. And good thing is, at least we're safe and sound in a different home. Like I told some people, as long as I'm fed in a warm bed with a roof, or at least a ceiling, over my head, I'm happy and good and alive, because that's all that matters to me right now. And like I said, I was lucky to pass my semester last year, and even when I told my professors what we went through, they're like, "Wait, what?" as well. And there wasn't much time left to the semester too. I was even lucky that my project item that I had to build for my sitting and positioning class for survived the flood, because it got hit by flood water, but I used duct tape to put it together. So yeah, well, that's it. I mean, that was a wild story that I told you guys. And if you're moving to Daytona Beach, just stick with West Daytona. I am not kidding about that. Stick to West Daytona or more inland in Ormond and Port Orange, because having floods come at you is not a great thing. And if you're wondering, the reason why for the flooding is because Port Orange had a dam collapse, and that's how we ended up being flooded, because water came into the bay and the river and caused the flooding in the first place. So like I said, at least we were lucky to find a new place so in such a short time span, and that we're back more inland. Like I said, live in more inland areas if you're gonna move anywhere, because I know we'll be doing that for future places. I mean, like I said, it was terrible. I did lose some stuff. It smelled terrible too. And I hope nobody goes through anything. For anybody using the Northeast, I hope you get through your floods, because being in the flood is not a fun thing to be in, because you don't know what's in the water. Trust me, when when I had to run around the apartment in that water. It was cold. I was lucky that I didn't get sick from all that. Ugh, it was terrible. I was glad that I had my vitamin C tablets. So it was cold. It was terrible. I was glad I didn't get sick. So I'm hoping we get through the rest of 2023 just fine. And like I said, we are no storms came through. I know with the hot temperatures in the ocean, hoping we go through the rest of hurricane season all right. So if you haven't, make sure you check out my Patreon, Mari's, M-A-R-I, apostrophe S, Writing Loft. It's $5 a month, and I'm going to be putting my first tier up sometime soon. I mean, I would say follow the Patreon, because I am using that for my book publishing from here on out. If I need to add money to it from my own personal account, because I also opened up a new account to put my Patreon earnings. So I would say check out the Patreon. The link is in the last video. I'll probably add it here too. And also make sure you check out my books as well, Love Found in Cinders and Rose Thorns of Love. Also follow us on Twitter at Nerdy Chic. I am considering moving over to Mastodon or Threads, depending, because Twitter has been kind of tanking ever since Elon Musk kind of took over. So not sure at this time. I would say keep on following us forever, especially here on YouTube. I'm thinking with the next one, I'm going to be talking about what happened to my Urban Decay Ultraviolet palette video. I'm not sure if you noticed that it's missing. And I'm hoping I can find that palette, because I did lose makeup in this entire flood situation too. And a good portion of my brushes. But at least I still have makeup brushes and did buy more makeup sponges after the flood. But as I said, I'm hoping it did survive the flood. I gotta take a look around. If not, I may have to look around on eBay then. So until next time, stay beautiful, everybody.